What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. A lot of stuff, some big stuff happened yesterday, including some stuff around Smash Bros. And its appearance at E3, because it looks like it's not only going to show up there, it's going to be in competition at E3, which is something that really makes me wonder how far off are we from this game coming out. God of War also had some news that it seems to be ready, prepped, ready to go for release day as it went gold, which is awesome. And then we also find out a little more about Cyberpunk and even Zone of the Enders. A lot of stuff happened yesterday with GDC kind of in full swing. Now, that Sora figure is all done. I've contacted the winner and we'll wait for them to get back to me to announce who won it. Now, for the 100,000 giveaway, we're going to do something interesting. I'm going to talk more about it on Monday or even over the weekend. I'll put a video out, but it's going to be a little bit of a bigger one than some of the figures and stuff we've been doing. Originally, I wanted to build a computer, but man, some of the prices for these parts are getting out of control, and I think the budget that I've set aside just wouldn't be able to provide that good of a computer for what I originally wanted to build. Originally, I had like a 1070 in this thing and everything, and now it's very expensive. So I feel like I'd rather give a few other things away that are equally priced for a couple of you. I think it'd be really fun. And we'll go over it either this weekend or even on Monday morning for Newswave. But for today, guys, let's get started. So Super Smash Bros. On the Nintendo Switch is something that has pretty much the internet just buzzing right now, trying to figure out a couple things. Is this a new version of Smash Bros? Is this kind of the Wii U version, just kind of shaped and molded for the Switch? A lot of people have kind of accepted that if that's the case, it wouldn't really be a bad thing. But I think a lot of people want to see a new one, and now we know E3 is indeed going to be packed with Super Smash Bros. As it will be fully playable there. In fact, they're going to run an entire invitational over it, a big tournament. That, and then Splatoon 2 will have their World Championships, but this is going to be insane. Super Smash Bros. Is not only ready to be shown, it seems like it's basically done. If they're going to run an entire competition around Super Smash Bros. At E3, we're going to see a lot about this game. We're going to hear about a ton of hands-on impressions, and I think that's going to be one of the big games they're just going to have completely playable on the showroom floor. I think they're going to want a lot of people to play this thing because, in my mind, in my opinion, I think this game is just about done, if it's not already. If they're going to be announcing an entire tournament, it sounds like it's going to be coming out a little earlier than we might think. At least a lot of people are putting this as maybe their November or December release. I think this game might actually release in September. Now, if you've been following me here on the channel for a while, I've kind of been beating the drum about Smash Bros. On the Switch coming out alongside the online service. We then found out, of course, the online service coming out in September, and I have a feeling if Smash Bros. Doesn't release right alongside the online service, possibly the same day, and it being the first real enabled online service that is really intertwined with it to work, right? With matchmaking and voice communication and tournaments and rooms and all this stuff. If it's not right there the same day, it might be a week or two later. Just as an example, let's say it releases like the 14th of September or something. Smash Bros. Would probably release like 2 Fridays later or something. So I would see Smash Bros. Being their big push for the online gaming. And after hearing about it playable at E3, first of all, we're going to see so much about this game, and it's going to be very interesting to watch the Invitational. Now, of course, they did something very similar with ARMS, if you remember, last E3. Now, ARMS came out pretty much right after E3, so we already knew a lot about it. We had played it at the beta and everything. Smash is still kind of a mystery. So I'm wondering if they're going to give us a direct maybe beforehand, or if they're just going to show everything off and it's going to be a surprise for everyone when they kind of pull the curtain and there's Smash Bros. Being playable. I feel like I'd like to see a direct ahead of time so it's not as shocking when the tournament starts to see it, because then people might not be paying attention to necessarily who's playing in matches, just trying to get down a bunch of information about Smash. But if you're a Super Smash Bros. Fan, or just a fan in general of, I guess, the Switch and everything, this is a big deal, okay? So pay attention to E3, specifically this tournament. Even if you're not a big esports person or don't care, it's worth checking this out just to see where they are with Smash and what it looks like, and is it based on the Wii U? There's so many questions. Who's included? Are they going to have just a set number of people that they have for the tournament? Or are they just letting everyone go? Everyone's there. Maybe there's unlockable characters we don't see. There's so many things to keep an eye on, so make sure you are tuning in at E3. It's going to be a lot of fun. The Splatoon 2 World Championships will also be there. More information still to come about Smash Bros. I'm hoping, like I said, we get a direct ahead of time, just so we can get the initial shock factor of what the game looks like and how it's playing out of the way, so then we can kind of move on to the competitors and the tournament itself for Smash Bros. At E3. Next up, let's talk a bit about Cyberpunk 2077. It's the next big project project from the Witcher creators, CD Projekt Red. People have been looking forward to this for a long time, and recently their Twitter handle kind of came back into effect. It became active again after several years of just being inactive, and that got people going crazy, even though it was just one word. It was beep. And it's interesting that it's back in the news so heavily just from that, but people have been looking forward to this game for a while. People have been talking about this game forever because the Witcher series is so big now with The Witcher 3. There are some high expectations for Cyberpunk 2077, and it looks like they're kind of pushing forward with this idea of it being a big, expansive single player, and the multiplayer can kind of wait a bit because they had a lot of questions that they had to answer at GDC, and they did just that. Now, according to them, the game will be at E3, and they're going to be possibly announcing it just before and maybe showing some stuff ahead of E3 to where they can then focus maybe around a level or some kind of gameplay demo there for everybody. The campaign is going to be single player. It's going to be very expansive, and they're going to, I guess, work towards the multiplayer as they go along. And people have speculated because they have found some hirings for multiplayer specialists, essentially, to be working internal with them ahead of time, but it's going to be a while, I think, for the multiplayer. They've talked about how microtransactions, they were talking about loot boxes, right? They don't really like the idea of loot boxes, but then the CEO was kind of waving on it. They weren't sure. So we're going to see if microtransactions will be a part of the multiplayer, but as long as there aren't microtransactions in the single player, I don't think people will care as much, right? There won't be as big of a big deal about it. They also went on to say that the game has a full character creator, and you could still pick your class. There were rumors before that none of that would be there. It looks like, yes, you could still have a character creator, you can pick your class and everything. And they did also go on to answer a question, because everybody asks, is there a Switch version? No Switch version planned at this time, and they said that their game will scale to next-gen consoles, which is expected, I guess. I mean, we're working with dynamic resolution, things that can move along as hardware gets more powerful. And as we've kind of seen with the PS4 and the PS4 Pro and the Xbox One, the Xbox One X, games that might run at 720, or things like Halo 5, as I said, that has like a dynamic resolution to keep the frame rate stable, it doesn't really drop on the X. And that's kind of the idea of dynamic resolution, to make it more future-proof as better hardware really becomes available. But yeah, no Switch version. I don't think anyone was really expecting that. I mean, this game's been in development for probably for longer than we even know at this point. I mean, we really heard about it years and years ago, and they've probably been planning it before then. So yeah, I wouldn't expect a Switch version anytime soon. They need to get this game out first. Let's get that done first. Get this game done and out to the public, see how things are received. Hopefully it is as good as most people are hyping it up to be. Expectations are at an all-time high, so you do wonder at times if there will be a letdown. So I'm hoping it's good, because The Witcher 3 was a good game. People really liked it, critically acclaimed, and we hope that there's not a letdown with Cyberpunk, because it is a bit of a different direction for them. Rather than doing more medieval time stuff, they're going more into the future. So here's hoping that it's good. Oh, and something else that was very interesting with CD Projekt Red, I think a lot of us see the Witcher series and we think of it as a PC series first, right? I think most of us do. Well, they seem to really catch a lot of steam with Witcher 2 when it moved to consoles. That makes sense. More people to buy it. Sure, that makes a ton of sense. They even went as far as to say that Witcher 2 was 4 times more in terms of revenue than Witcher 1, and then Witcher 3 was 11 times more than Witcher 2. That's cool. But then they also showed a chart that might make you wonder who is really supporting The Witcher 3 more between the PC and the PS4. As you see right here, the first year they brought it out, because they brought it out to consoles as well, the PS4 actually supported them the most, with 48% going to the PS4, 20% to the Xbox One, 31% supported by the PC. And you can kind of see as his life really went along here, the DLC I'm sure helped with the PC community pushing that. But then also sales, different things on Steam, for example, helped to push it up. But in the beginning, it seemed to be the PS4 that was really pushing it along. And then as we went along in the years, it clearly became more the PC owners who probably started to kind of jump in towards the end. As you can see, the revenue declining, but the PC base still buying in, as we do see that with really Steam, where sales happen, people throw money at games that they might not even play. So it's interesting to see, though, that the Witcher series might be becoming more of a console game at this point, just based on the users who are backing it. And I mean, the PC users still back it, but man, that PS4 chunk of that bar graph is it makes you wonder. Next up, quickly, we're going to touch on God of War. It has gone gold ahead of its release in April 20th. It's coming out, and Cory Barlog did share a full Twitter post about it. It's gone gold, even held up the burn disc there, the verbatim Blu-ray that they have the game burned to, and then also a pretty cool picture of the entire studio there, kind of standing in place, showing how many people had a hand in this game. It's pretty amazing sometimes to see how many people have a hand in some of these games that we sit down at times at our desk, at our TV or whatnot to play, and then you kind of think of the hundreds of people that can spend time on this game. But yes, God of War has gone gold. I kind of expected it to be at least a month or so ahead of time. Makes sense. Now they're going to start manufacturing, they're going to start pressing discs and then packaging them and shipping them to stores. But yes, God of War completely done, ready to go. It's exciting, I think, at this point because it's such an interesting direction for the entire franchise. So it's going to be interesting to see how people receive it, how critics receive it, what gamers think of it, and not too much longer, a little under a month, and we'll be able to play God of War. Next up, let's talk about an older game that was on the PS2 that got a bit of a remaster. It went to the PS3, 360, and now it looks like it's coming to PS4 and Steam, including PS4 Pro, with full 4K support and VR support. And that's Zone of the Ender Second Runner by Konami. Some of you may remember this game from the PS2, even the PS3 and the 360, but it's never been on Steam from what I've seen. And this is pretty cool to see it move over. VR support, I remember seeing a while ago about this, but to see it come up to full 4K, and it looked really good. If you've missed out on Zone of the Ender Second Runner, they're calling it Zone of the Ender Second Runner Mars with kind of the A upside down. But this is an awesome game if you missed out on it back on the PS2. I played it on the PS2, didn't play it on the PS3, and I might actually check it out here on Steam. It's pretty cool to see it move over to the PC as well, because I do know some people who just have a PC like Evan, but he loved that game on the PS2. So I think he'll buy into this one, and man, it looks so clean. It almost looks like they're kind of taking, like, obviously the Vaseline off the screen, but it's interesting to see it there. I don't know how well it'll work in VR. I guess I'm more interested to see it kind of move into a very clean, very crisp look to the visual style. It looks like they are still using mostly the older really, I guess, game itself, but man, it moves over and looks so clean now. So I'm excited for it. It's coming September 2018, according to their trailer. So, I mean, yes, it's an older game that's being ported over, moved over to another system, but it's good to see. Now I would like to see Konami take the older Metal Gears and move those to the PC, because how in the world is the Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3 HD collection not on Steam? Somebody needs to tell me. And in our last bit of news, let's talk about Wolfenstein 2, the new Colossus. It is coming out on the Nintendo Switch. News and information and videos, everything's been pretty quiet about this game. It seemed like they wanted to get Doom out, get that at spotlight, its shine, and then kind of move on to this version as they worked through it. Well, it looks like it is going to be playable at PAX East, and that takes place April 7th. So not much longer. In a couple weeks, we're going to see this game running. Now, are we going to see it running like we saw Doom run? And do you remember how they had that event where press could go, play Doom, do some off-screen footage and everything of it, and then show it off? I'm thinking they're going to do it that way. I don't think they're going to do direct feed footage. If you remember, Philip went and really had Comic-Con, or San Diego, I should say. At San Diego, he actually checked it out, but it was for Skyrim, but he couldn't actually do any capture or anything. It was all handheld. Seems to be the way Bethesda likes to do things. Have everyone go, show up, and do handheld gameplay, and then record off-screen. Possibly because really the docked build might not be ready. That's also possible. Or just it might be an early build. They don't want people to scrutinize it too much. But it is always fascinating to see it in handheld mode. And apparently, we're going to see how well this game is going to run. I actually think it'll run better than Doom, because from what I played of Wolfenstein 2, I didn't notice it leaving small corridors as much. Seriously, everything was confined spaces. So I think it'll actually run better than Doom. But we're going to find out. We're going to find out here. Now, of course, Panic Button has had more and more experience going forward with the Switch, so I actually think they'll do a little better here with Wolfenstein 2 than they did with Doom. People, of course, liked the Doom port, but it was lower resolution. The frame rate was pretty low, and I'll be curious to see if they've improved going forward with something like Wolfenstein 2. It should be interesting. Just keep an eye out when PAX East is in full swing, because we should start to see some gameplay footage kind of come out. It'll probably be handheld off screen, like I said. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for Newswave today. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, guys. Really helps out. If not, hit the dislike. Leave a bunch of comments down below about everything we talked about today. Let me know about Smash. Do you think this is definitely coming out earlier in the year compared to what people may have originally thought? Do you think this is going to be a September release or an October or November? Maybe you do think it's their December release. Let me know, because it seems interesting that it is ready for tournament play. You figure that means it's almost ready to be released to the public, but I want to hear what you guys think about this. And are you excited that it sounds like we're going to get a full look at Super Smash Bros., at least at E3? I'd prefer to get a full look earlier, ahead of time. That way people can just enjoy the tournament rather than try to, look at every little thing while they're playing. And then also let me know what you think about Wolfenstein 2. Finally making its public appearance, I guess, at PAX East. And then what do you think about God of War going gold, CD Projekt Red's newest project here at Cyberpunk 2077? Let me know, guys, down below. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you back here Monday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Time for more Newswave.